Bill Shine, Trump's communications director, is leaving the White House for a job in the president's 2020 campaign as a senior advisor. The rather unexpected move comes amid reports that Shine wasn't good enough at shielding his boss from negative coverage. Poor guy. According to the New York Times, the president frequently criticized him to other advisors, saying that his own press coverage had not improved. New Yorker's Jane Mayer also reported as much in her piece this week, describing the close ties between the Trump White House and Fox News. Mayer reminded readers that Shine, the former Fox News executive, was allegedly responsible for helping clean up sexual abuse at the network extensively, noting several lawsuits named Shine as a complicit in a workplace culture of cover-ups, payoffs, and victim intimidation. Mayer also reported on Shine's job interview with Trump. 2 months after Shine left Fox, Sean Hannity became a matchmaker, arranging a dinner with the president at the White House. Hannity proposed Shine as a top communications official or even as a deputy chief of staff. A year later, Shine was both, and now he's out. Jane Mayer joins me now. First, let's just start with this rather abrupt move as someone who's been working this beat very closely. What was your reaction to it?
Well, I guess I thought that probably Shine had just become too much baggage. I mean, what he said himself in a meeting at the White House today to colleagues was that he'd become a distraction. It was almost too obvious. He'd been the president, a co-president of Fox News, and he was now the director of communications in the White House. It just made the tie between Fox and the White House so heavy-handed that it became a lightning rod for critics.
The White House said no one in the White House read your article, which I find preposterous and hard to believe. But do you think the article played a role in the timing?
Well, I don't know why he'd be a distraction this week and not last week, but who knows? You know, I mean, it would be speculation on my part. I do know that Bill Shine was planning some long-term improvements in terms of what he wanted to do with the press office. So it seemed as if he didn't himself expect to be leaving anytime soon. But it's also true that he had bothered. I think that President Trump had felt dissatisfied with him. He did not go on the trip to Vietnam with the president, and he had expected to go on it. So I think it's a combination of various things, but something brought it to a head, and I don't think we know the whole story yet.
I want to ask you about some pushback to some of your reporting that happened today, which has been playing out in an interesting fashion. One of the most explosive parts of your reporting in The New Yorker is that Fox News, the website, killed a story by one of its reporters, Diane Falzone, about the existence of Stormy Daniels, that she said that she had a relationship with the president and that they killed it, and that the editor who killed it, a guy by the name of Ken LaCourte, killed it, saying, forget it, kid, Rupert wants Trump elected. Big deal, an explosive thing to say in a newsroom. LaCourte himself wrote an op-ed today, I believe for Mediaite, and he made a number of contentions. One, that he killed the story because it wasn't publishable, that the reporter didn't have enough details, and seemed to imply that you never even spoke to him. And I'd like you to respond to that.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not really pushback because his denial and his contention that he killed it because it wasn't ready is in my story.
Yes,
and
you
I
say
did
that
speak.
that's the claim.
It's actually his point of view is very much reflected in the story. He's quoted 4 times in the story. I interviewed him extensively. That last bit about Falzone, who was the author of that particular story we're talking about, he sent us a ton of material on. I went through his material and put in his, his statement. So I do understand why he feels embarrassed and wants to try to sort of reclaim his reputation, because who wants to be the editor who killed the story about Stormy Daniels that turned out to be true, and have a reporter who feels that it would have swayed the whole election if they just published it? I mean, he's got to think of something to say, I suppose. But he had his say in our story, and I'm glad he did. We feel at The New Yorker that we try to get everybody's point of view, and his is very much reflected.
I just want to be clear, because the most explosive part, which is that reporting that a colleague heard him say out loud this line, that Rupert wants Trump elected, you're confident in that reporting, you stand by that reporting?
I don't think you have it quite exactly right. It's not that she heard it said out loud. It's that the reporter Diana Falzone confided in a colleague who I interviewed about it. And yes, and I think that the record will show this if, in fact, the record is ever disclosed. And in fact, there's a call tonight by the lawyer for Diana Falzone. She unfortunately is under a gag order. Fox will not allow her to speak because there's a non-disclosure agreement with her. She sued Fox for gender discrimination, and there was a settlement out of court, and she's not allowed to speak about what happened to her at Fox and about her doing this story. But her lawyer tonight, whose name is Nancy Erica Smith, has put out a statement calling for Fox to lift that NDA and let her speak about this so the truth can come out. And I'd love for Fox to lift the NDA. I think that would be just great, and we can see.
I would like to read that statement because it's quite remarkable. So this is a woman who is at the center of this explosive story that you've reported, right? The idea that it was killed to politically benefit the president. It was essentially helping a cover-up. We know that cover-up also happened because of the hush money, which is a federal crime, as pleaded to by Michael Cohen. And the person at the center of it, covered by an NDA, because of a settlement with Fox News. Her lawyer tonight saying, in light of the false and defamatory statements being made by Fox News agent Ken LaCourte and Fox News employee Howard Kurtz, Diana Falzone, again, the reporter who you report found the Stormy Daniels story and had it quashed, asked Fox News and specifically Rupert Murdoch to release her from her non-disclosure agreement on the topic of her reporting in October 2016 regarding Donald Trump paying hush money to Stormy Daniels because the public has a right to the truth. So I guess we will wait to hear from that. Final question here. Do you think that Schein leaving changes anything about the fundamentally bizarre codependent relationship between this White House and Fox that you document in your story?
You know, I don't really think so, because the relationships go so deep and so on so many layers, all the way up between Rupert Murdoch, who is the chairman of Fox and talks frequently to the president and to the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to Sean Hannity, who is the marquee talk show host at Fox, who has told colleagues he speaks to the president after his shows in the evening. There's so many different levels of communication and it's such an open kind of feedback loop there. I don't actually think that that's going to change just because Bill Schein is leaving.
Sorry, final question. I lied. The DNC announced, I believe it was yesterday, that they would not have Fox host any of the Democratic primary debates. And one of the things they did was cite the reporting in your article, specifically about what happened with Diana Falzone, according to your reporting. Your reaction to the fact that this article apparently led to that outcome?
You know, I mean, that's really a political calculation, what the DNC wants to do. It's kind of beyond my pay grade. I'm happy to talk about journalism and describe the reporting process that went into, for instance, the Falzone story, where, you know, I interviewed a number of people and there were 3 corroborators for her story. But you know, I don't really know. I mean, the DNC has to make its own decisions about who it wants to deal with. Right. It's so not my deal.
All right, Jane Mayer, whose piece is out in this week's New York Magazine, has made a lot of waves. Thanks for joining us. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.